Fancy Ryan Clancy here. You have to listen to the fanciest podcast I know, Catch Club.
Oh my God!
Hello, everyone. And as you can hear, yes, we are doing another podcast on English, and we are doing another podcast regarding the Scenic City Invitational. We did the preview a few weeks back, and now we are doing the review. And we are very happy to have the same guest we had for the preview again for the review now. And with that, welcome, and thank you very much for taking the time. Val.
Thank you guys for having me. Wasting another English podcast on me. I appreciate it.
We
Always a
appreciate
pleasure
you
to
being
have
here.
you. And you could already hear him, as always, when we talk about anything regarding SCI Southeast. We also have Drew. Welcome, Drew.
Hey,
and thank
everyone.
you for taking the time.
Of course.
So, we are now 1 week removed from Scenic City Invitational, and unfortunately, Drew and I weren't able to watch all of the shows from the weekend because the TWE show from Thursday hasn't been uploaded to IWTV yet. But we have the advantage that we have someone who was in the arena. So, first of all, for our listeners who also listen to our German podcast, they know it already, but I want to explain it. We do the same with the reviews from the WXW festival weekend. So we talk about like the non-tournament shows at first, and then we talk about the tournament shows. And the first non-tournament show, of course, was a TWE Night Before 2025 Red Bank Roulette. Well, as the only one who was able to already watch it because you were in the crowd, you were at the TWE arena. How was the show? Which were the matches that you liked the most? Can you tell us something about the show in general?
So that show was a hoot. There were stipulations. It was crazy. CJ Lawler was just out there, just running the show. I pulled it up on Cage Match just to kind of refresh my memory here. But there was like an over-the-top rope challenge, a knockout or tap-out match, a falls count anywhere, a reverse battle royal. And that sounds about as exciting as you would think. So it was, you never knew who was coming out, what the match type was. It was a lot of fun. There was like a ropes or lava match. It was crazy.
I have to say, when I saw like the results and also the matchups, first of all, I also talked to Darian, and he was very happy with his match against Sean Campbell. So I'm really looking forward to see this one. And it was also cool to see that Mendes defended the WXW Unified World Wrestling title in the TWE arena against Casey Owens. So I'm also looking forward to that one.
Yeah, that was a surprise. I was so excited to see Manders. I love that man. He's great. And he had just a banger match with Casey. So 10/10 would recommend. The other thing I did want to bring attention to that you might look over if you were looking at the matches, but there's a match. It was a martial arts match between OXP and Bobcat. When this drops, watch that match. That was OXP's, I think, third match, maybe his fourth match.
I think it was his third. I think the match at Futures was his fourth match, if I understood this correctly.
That was my first time seeing him, and he was so entertaining and so good. I'm like, this dude is going to be going places if he wants to. So catch him now before he's like big and huge, and then you can say that you saw him like back in the day.
I feel like that. I mean, it's easy to say because I knew it in advance. But looking back now, you can tell that he was trained by Darian.
Yeah.
And I mean it in the best way possible, but you can definitely see the influence. And one last thing I wanted to say about the show, because I haven't watched it yet, but if someone would have asked me what I would have on my bingo card for the weekend, I wouldn't have said necessarily that Hunter Drake and Matt Griffin would be in one team. I mean, Calvin Conley, Hunter Drake, Matt Griffin, Ravenna Wayne. This is a team I wouldn't have expected.
You're not wrong.
But that's a nice thing about these shows, because you already oftentimes have the people that you need for SEI, and then you have the local people, and then you have combinations you will probably maybe never see again, which is quite entertaining. If you don't have anything to say about it, Drew, or do you have anything that's
No,
like...
but I'm looking forward to the show when it drops on IWTV. Sounds like a lot of fun.
Me too. And speaking of lots of fun, because we will start with the other like non-SEI show, which was, as always, on Saturday, the Action Futures Showcase Tournament. This was a show which had a perfect starting time for us in Germany, because it was 8 p.m. in Germany, so pretty much prime time. And Drew, I don't know if you saw this. I know I saw this live.
Yeah,
but I definitely saw it live.
yeah,
But I don't know.
yeah.
Did you see it live?
Yes, I saw it live. I wasn't sure if I able to make it because it was on a birthday on Saturday, but
I remember,
I was
yeah.
a bit yes, but I was a bit earlier home, so I the show started at 8 p.m. on our time, so I was like 3 or 5 minutes late for the stream, so I basically watched the whole show live.
Me too. And first of all, and I would like to start with that, we had the first match, which was non-tournament action, which was Country Boy Coots against Hakeem Young. I feel like the non-tournament matches, maybe with one exception, didn't stood out as much, but I think it was absolutely okay for both of them. Drew, I think you did see Country Boy Coots before. I know this. Did you also see Hakeem Young before?
The name rings in my brain, but I don't think I have seen him wrestle.
Well, what about you? Did you see him wrestle before?
I had not seen either of these two in person before.
Okay.
I had seen them like on streams before, but never with my eyeballs in an arena,
Okay. What did you think about the match? Do you have anything to add to what I said?
No, I think it was, good to have a local guy for your kind of first non-tournament match. I think the match was good. I think nothing special about it, but it wasn't bad either.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And you can continue, because you spoke about local people, and I think from the people we had in this match, the winner was the one who was most known to the fans, because we had Tommy Davis versus Eddie Hendricks versus Joey Hyder, the first of 3 first round matches of the Future Showcase. Val, what is your opinion on this match?
I wasn't familiar with Joey Hyder going into this. He was, a lot, but I genuinely, I think he has one of the worst tattoos I've ever seen. But beyond that, I thought the match was good. I like Tommy Davis's style. I feel like I've seen a lot of him in a really short time span, so it's been kind of fun to watch him, even just in that short amount of time, kind of grow and kind of more come into, at least to my eyes, come into himself. And he did a great job all weekend. No spoilers yet. But it was also good to see Eddie back in, because I think that he was maybe I know I've seen him before. I think maybe was he on Futures last year in non-tournament action?
I think so. He's definitely been on action shows before. I think normally he's not on the like Tyrone shows, but he has been on the like Fayetteville, Newnan, stuff like this. So I can look it up if he was in non-tournament action. Which could... Yes, he was on the gauntlet match that Finesse won. You're absolutely right.
Gotcha. I was like, I know I've seen him before.
By the way, do you remember who was also in that gauntlet match?
Who's
an WWID wrestler now?
Oh,
I totally forgot about it. Aaron Roberts.
Who?
He is someone, I think. Yeah, this was my same reaction. He was one of the, I think, most unknown people to get like an ID contract. And I think it has to do with him being trained by Booker T or something like this, or having ties to it, definitely. But because I remember when I said, "Oh, he's like WWID," I was like, no one will know him, and I seen him like. But as I said, we want to talk about all the matches in particular, maybe in general. After that, we had Anakin Murphy versus Dex Wall and Joseph Alexander. After that, we had with Anakin. No, this was the last year. Sorry, this was the second. Of course, this was not the match we had. Yeah. There we are again. After that, of course, we had Chimbashi versus Jay Lucas and Soraya Saber, and we had Danny Orion versus Amina Belmont and Finesse. We had the winners of Tommy Davis, of Chimbashi, of Danny Orion, and we had Tommy Davis winning the tournament against Danny Orion and Chimbashi. What was your favorite of these matches, Val? And what was your impression of the tournament action overall?
I mean,
as a whole?
I'll be honest. I was so excited because there were a lot of the people in the Futures tournament this year that I was like really big on. I had seen Shimbashi wrestling for Unsanctioned Pro last year, and I was like, oh man, I like the Shimbashi guy. So I was excited to see him in the tournament. I am forever and always a Jay Lucas girl. I've been big on Jay for probably the last 2 years, and I'm glad that he was in the tournament this year. I think he was in non-tournament action last year, but was so stoked when he was announced. And then Soraya Saber's fantastic. I so much enjoy watching her wrestle. She has such passion for it. So that match was heavy for me because I was like, I want everybody to win. I just want people to be able to do their thing and be safe, and that was such a fun match. And really by far the longest match of the first round. Second match, Danny Orion versus Amina Belmont. I had seen Danny Orion in person Mania weekend in Vegas this year. He's just a really love to hate him heel. So much fun to watch. So again, and that match was so good. I love Amina. She's somebody that I have been able to see grow in her time in wrestling from when she first started to now, which that is just the biggest treat of independent wrestling, in my opinion. And then kind of similarly with Finesse, be able to see them grow and come into their own, and it just brings me so much joy. With Shimbashi, Tommy Davis, and Danny Orion advancing, which was kind of a surprise to me, that they would have Danny Orion over Finesse, but what do I know? But that final match was so good. I was so invested in every move, and any one of those three could have won, and I would have been absolutely ecstatic. But it was fantastic to see Tommy Davis win that. 10-10, if you check out nothing else from the Futures, watch that last match. It is so good.
I think that it may have been the best Futures tournament action we have ever seen at Future Showcase. And I feel in general that it has really grown over the last years. Last year was already really good, but there we had a very good match with Mortar versus Gary J in a non-tournament action. But this year's tournament action, because when you said that for you, like the final was a favorite match, I also really liked it. But I personally, for example, like Danny Orion versus Amina Belmont versus Finesse the best. And I can say that you can make a case for all of the tournament matches to say this was my favorite match of the night, and this is always a very good thing to say. And yeah, with Amina Belmont, I also heard a lot of people say that this was like the discovery of the weekend for them, and I really had to think about you, Val, telling us about how much you like her and how talented she is. And I think it's great that she got this showing. And Drew, what do you say about the tournament action? Do you have anything to add?
I mostly agree with what you said. I liked it a lot. I was a huge fan of last year's Action Future Showcase, so it became like an undercover tip from this weekend, like for me, and was really looking forward to the show. And watching it live, of course, made it then better on the screen. I really like the freeway with Shimbashi, Jay Lucas, and Sarai Saber as well. I'm a huge Jay Lucas fan. I like him. I think he's pretty cool. Shimbashi won me over as a fan. I liked his work. And Saraya, I saw a couple of matches already from her, and I love her. She's great. And the match after, which Danny Orion won, was pretty cool as well. I was a bit shocked that Finesse lost in the first round.
Me too.
But I think that made the tournament a little bit more open.
Mm.
So like we spoke about it when we watched it live, that we could pretty much imagine everybody except for one or two people to win this tournament, and that's what it's all about. Like having
Right.
no clue and watching this and then being surprised who won. And I like the final as well, which had done applications for the next day. So that was pretty cool. And overall, I'm pretty happy with how the show went.
I don't think that we have to talk about all the other like non-tournament matches in detail, but I want to talk about one match, and that's the Action Futures Gauntlet match. First of all, it was great to see Poondog. I mean, he's a great young up-and-coming talent, and I think we will see a lot of him in the next years.
Bright future.
No, jokes aside, this was my kind of match, because if you only read the names, this was as indie as indie gets, with Grass-Fed DJ, Herculon Rage, Killer Cam Isaac, and OXP winning it was a great choice in my opinion. So this was definitely fun.
If you have no clue or never watched the action show and you see this card on Cage Match, click on it and you see that gauntlet and you think, Jesus, what are these names? That's crazy. It was worth alone for that. But I liked that gauntlet. I think OXP is pretty good for the handful matches he have.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Do you have anything to add, Val, to the
gauntlet match was I'm so sorry. That gauntlet match was so much fun. It was really like a good, like, silly breather between some kind of more serious, heavy matches. I got a light lap dance from Poondog, so there's that.
I saw that.
I was like, I don't know how to respond to this, but I feel very fortunate. That match was so much fun, and it was a way to showcase a lot of like the talent that I think came to the Bacabella seminar earlier in the day. And I was watching a stream last night. I don't even remember what company it was. I think PWF, maybe. I don't really remember. But I was just kind of half paying attention as I was doing other stuff. And I saw Luis Cortez, and I was like, I met that guy at Futures. I was like, that guy was great. So keep an eye on Luis Cortez. I feel like he's really coming and going places, and very good presentation. You know, you can't really see a whole lot of like work rate in a gauntlet type match, but great presentation. Enjoyed what I saw, and somebody that I would actively watch more from. Beyond that, I think OXP, just to stand out on the weekend of somebody that I didn't know going into it and was immediately like all in on. I believe, if I remember right, he does like, I don't want to say stunt work, but I guess kind of stunt work for like Cobra Kai. So he's definitely
something in that like movie stunt direction. I saw this as
well. That would make a lot of sense if he worked for Cobra Kai, because Darren is good friends with Paul Waterhauser and he worked Cobra Kai. So that would be a full circle.
Mm-hmm.
So that was fun, and then to have him be in that gauntlet match and actually winning it, that means I believe that they'll be in the future showcase next year. So
I think so too.
Something to look forward to.
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, I looked it up. You were absolutely correct. It was at PWF yesterday. Where Luis Cortez had a match alongside Cam Isaac. So with that, let's move on to the first day of the Sneak City Invitational. So now we talk about the tournament shows. And the first match we had on day one on the Friday was a non-tournament match. It was a tag team grudge match. One Court Manners and Jade Newman versus Adam Priest and a partner of his choosing. Of course, the build-up to this took one whole year because last year Adam Priest attacked the other former Scenic Invitational winners. And as his partner, he picked Aaron Wade. And I would like to start, and I would say this was a more than decent start. I think this was a good way to start the show with these big names, and to see One Court Manners working alongside Jay Newman. I think they have great chemistry with each other. It was good to see Reverend being the manager of One Court Manners for a match. This is a really cool combination, and I can say I was pretty happy with it. Drew, what do you say about it?
Yeah, I would agree. I like that. It was pretty cool to see the Reverend making the introduction for Manders as well. That was cool. I like that they going like a full tag team, like they are now the Cowboys from Hell. Like that. That was pretty cool. I didn't expect Aaron Wade, but it makes a lot of sense because he's the TWE champion, and you have no other SCI winner that could fulfill this. Because we have no 2025 winner, of course. Then Maccabi AC Mac are not available, and then most of the other people or other winners are not available. So it makes sense that you have as Aaron Wade as a champion in this Cosmos as the partner. I liked it. I think that was normally I'm not that high when you have tournaments and you have one tournament match as the main event, but I think here it worked because this was a great match to bring you into the show, to work the crowd, make them hot for the weekend or for the action of the tournament. So I think it filled its purpose. It was great. It was a fun watch.
How did you like it in the arena, Val?
It was fun. I think to Drew's credit there, a good way to start the match, get everybody amped up. Like, you always have to have your opener to kind of warm up the crowd. And what better way to warm up the crowd than with two people that are absolutely beloved in the TWE arena, in Manders and Jaden, versus two people absolutely hated in the TWE arena, in Adam Priest and Aaron Wade. I had actually seen Scott and Matt do it on a podcast. Shout out to Queen of the Indies, Tiffany, before SCI, and they had said, because Aaron Wade was a mystery partner, they had said, Adam Priest doesn't have very many friends, but maybe he can find somebody that hates Jaden or Manders enough to join him. And I was like, oh man, that was a way to think about it that I didn't think about it until he said it. And I was like, I bet it's going to be somebody good. And it ended up being Aaron Wade. So 50-50 shot on if you think that's good or not. But the match itself was really fun. It was a lot. People were getting really into it. And it was like a good way to kind of warm everybody up to get into the tournament action.
Speaking of people who are good at being hated, then we had our first round match. And of course, we had Sydney Wakabella coming out for Channing Thomas, as Channing Thomas had the match against Vinny Massaro. Well, what can you tell us about this match?
Channing has been around for a little while. Vinny's, I think, 18-year veteran or something to that effect. So
it's actually 27 years.
27 years. See, what do I know?
Because I looked this up because for the match that was on the second day, because I wanted to know how much experience they have in total, but we will talk about that later.
So, first round tournament match of the Sydney Channing Invitational Tournament.
Right. I forgot about this. So sorry.
I absolutely, plays to my heart. I love goofy heel stuff. There's nothing more enjoyable to me than goofy heel stuff. And Sydney Bacabella and Channing Thomas are peak goofy heel stuff. And I don't know if it was being caught on the live stream at all because I haven't watched it back. But there was, I have to, because we were dying. I was like in tears laughing. At one point, they go up to Vinny Massaro and they say "Mamma Mia," and Vinny says, "That's racist." And Cindy says, "I've never won a race in my entire life."
That's the most Sidney Baccarella thing to say.
Yes.
I don't think it got caught. At least I didn't, or I don't remember about it. But yeah, this sounds really Sidney Baccarella like. Yeah,
You
but
know,
yeah, we continue with what do you think about the match?
the wrestling was great. I thought it was a fun little play. It was good to me to see Channing Thomas advance. I'm kind of a Channing Thomas gal. But it was really cool to see Vinny Massaro like in person. I had seen him in person before, but at Mania shows, so that wasn't the same. It's not the same, you know. Like, yeah, but to see him in a more intimate venue was nice.
I definitely feel like that this is a match that's better, or where you have more fun with if you are in the arena yourself. I also sometimes feel like that these kinds of matches don't really like do the same for you if you watch them on stream in comparison. But I still think it was solid for what it was. I like both of their matches on the second day better, but we will come to that. And I think it was what you could have expected. So it was absolutely solid. What do you say about this, Drew?
I like the contrast of it, like the serious Vinny Massaro and the like goofy combi or combination from Channing Thomas and Sidney Baccarella. Sidney Baccarella is hilarious. This guy is great. I like
we didn't even talk about that he got his pants pulled down at one point yet.
Yes, that happened as well, which built up to the next to the second round match and his another promo. But I like that. I love Uncle Vinny. He's great. Would love to see him in Germany sometime down the road. And Channing is great as well. Like the pairing with him and Baccarella is great. So I like this as the first tournament match we saw. This was a good start for the tournament, and I liked it.
Yeah, and we continued with Diego Hill versus Teriyaki. And you can continue as well, Drew. What are your thoughts on this match?
This was great. I loved that as well. It's like two guys with similar styles, like the high flying style. That was pretty cool. Like a cool clash, almost like a little bit like a mirror match style wise. And I like this. I like both a lot. I'm a huge Teriyaki fan. I like Diego Hill. So this was a win-win for me. Like, and this was cool. This was a lot of fun, and for me a little bit surprising that Diego Hill won. I had Teriyaki on my card, but I liked it. I'm happy with that, and I've nothing more to add.
Yeah, I would say this was what I expected from it, and I mean it in a positive way. And this is definitely among the matches where you can argue that this was your match of the night, in my opinion. And for me, it was another match, and maybe one other match as well that I see in front of it. But in the arena, maybe I would have said it as well. And well, what was your like? How did you see it in the arena? How did you like it? Also compared to the other matches, tell us.
You know, compared to the match that was before it, where it was not, the match between Vinny and Channing was not up in the air, so to speak.
Yeah.
With Teriyaki and Diego Hill, I mean, they were flipping, flying, moving at speed of light. Like, it was such a contrast from the match before and the match to come after, to be quite honest. That it was, you knew you had two high flyers. You knew that they could pull off some interesting things that other people couldn't because of that. And I feel like it was a really good contrast to the match before and after it. And fun. I like high flying stuff. I really like Teriyaki and Diego Hill. And they played really well off each other. They're similar in style and size, and I think they both just really went for it. I was kind of surprised to see Diego Hill win as well, but not at all disappointed in that. He did a great job.
Yeah, what you said about this being like in contrast to the match before and after that, you're absolutely right, because after that we had Hunter Drake versus Bojack, and I feel like from what I've heard, this is one of the matches where some saw it better than others. But me personally, I enjoyed it because you could see it like being in this David versus Goliath match, but with Hunter just being this sneaky heel and finding a way to win. So I think it was a good match for what it was. But well, do you agree with me, or would you say that the perception was different from your point of view?
No, I do kind of agree with you there. It was very much, Bojack, not a small guy. Hunter Drake, kind of a wispy, thin little man. But, to see him eke out a win under some maybe extenuating circumstances,
That's a good way to put it.
kind of expected in a way. Hunter Drake always has that win by any means situation going on. And, if it was a real true like out in the world fight, of course Hunter Drake would just get smashed to bits by Bojack. Like, to be fair, most people probably would. But it was a fun match. I kind of expected Hunter Drake would win that one just because when I think about tournaments and who you want to advance, it's not just purely based on athletic merit, right? Like, there's so much more that goes into it. And one of the things you have to think about is you can't have a final match full of just baby faces that everybody loves. So I think that of the quote unquote heels presented in the tournament, he's the most heely to like really go over and have some kind of rapport down with those fans because he wrestles there frequently.
Yeah, absolutely agree. Drew, what was your perception of the match? How did you like it?
I can't really add much more because you said it all. I like that it was a pretty cool David versus Goliath match, but with David being the heel and Goliath being the face, like a bit of a switch roles. I like that. I like Bojack a lot. He's pretty cool. Hunter Drake as well. I see him a lot more often because I watch more TWE shows, Action, New South, and all of this because of you. So I know him a little bit more. So I was happy that he won, and I think it was more important that he won in advancing for the tournament flow and for the eventual final then. So I'm happy with that. But I think Bojack did a great showing. On I hope to see him back, maybe in Action or TWE or something like that. I think he could really he could fit really well in that.
You said,
I'm sorry,
David. Yeah, well, continue.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Did you just say you were happy Hunter Drake won? I think you're the only person to say that.
No one said that ever before, I think.
Yeah, right.
I think even like everyone who knows Hunter Drake is family, they've never said it. Drew's the first one to ever say it. What I wanted to add, by the way, is sometimes because you said that he's the most heely of the heels, well, and I sometimes feel like he is a little bit of like the next AC Mac because he's so good at like sneaking wins. And this was like the specialty of AC Mac. So I sometimes see a little bit of AC Mac in him. But as we already said, this was David versus Goliath, and we had another maybe kind of a styles clash. Although especially Cody is really an all-rounder because we had Cody Manhorn versus Kobe Carino. Well, what did you think about this match?
This match I really feel like was probably one of the most emotionally charged matches, just because of their backgrounds and where they've come from, and things that have happened to them in their past. Colby talked about his before, where he was 10 years ago, homeless, living under a bridge. And to now he has a wife, a career, a family, and living pretty good by all everything he said anyway. And Cody has had some trials too, where and I don't know if y'all know this. It was something that I heard Matt and Scott talking about on a different podcast. But there was apparently like a shooting at a recruiting office.
Yeah.
And Cody was there and had to like go through that. And, unfortunately, he was able to, rescue some people, but you can't save everybody all the time. And I can't imagine how that would weigh on a person. And I feel like that was really set the tone. It was a very story heavy match, or like background heavy match that others maybe didn't have. And that being said, that match was very back and forth. Some of them you could kind of see maybe like who a clear cut winner would be, but that one to me was very up in the air. I would have a hard time predicting a winner between Colby and Cody Manhorn. But the match was great. They worked with each other really well. I think everybody, by the end of it, was very emotionally invested.
Ooh, how did you like the match?
I like that. For me, it was the best Colby Corino match I saw, but it has to do with that I'm not that huge of a Colby Corino fan. I love Cody, but I'm not a big fan of Colby Corino. But I think the two together worked pretty well. They had a good chemistry. They had like a similar style. They are like an indie-ish style, like all-rounder wise. And I absolutely like that. So it worked perfect. You realized a bit of this emotional thing that Well said. So you were really into it, and I liked it. It was one of my favorite matches of the first day. So yeah, it was pretty cool.
To what Well said about like the terrorist attack in 2015, that's still something that's bothering Cody as it would everyone of us. Yeah, I knew about this because I can also remember that last year when he won and he was named as the first one for SCI 2025, he already said that this would be very special for him because it would be the 10th year of SCI and it would also be 10 years after these attacks. And the thing is also that these attacks were also almost on the same day. So they were not only in 2015, they were on July 16th. So only a few days apart from. So it was really, really special for Cody. And I have to say, as Drew said as well, I'm not the biggest fan of Colby Corino, not because I think he's bad or anything, but he's just not especially my cup of tea. Because for me, he's like a sports entertaining independent wrestler. Yeah. But I have to say, this was for me one of the bigger positive surprises of the whole weekend, because this was definitely among my top 3. I could also hear from people who were at the arena that they liked this match the most. And I think it was also a good decision to have the break after it, because it was very like emotional and also physical draining. And I talked to Cody, to Aaron after that, and he said that it was a very important match for him and one of his favorite ones. And this is always great to hear. And all the best for him. It has been really hard. So all the best for him. Yes, and after that, as I said, we had the break. And then we had a match that wasn't supposed to be happening, but had to happen in a sense, because we had Casey Owens, and originally we had Danny Briggs. We talked about him in the preview, but he got injured, unfortunately. All the best to him. And we had Brett Eisen as a replacement. And I would like to start, and I would like to say that I feel like, for me, this was and I'm doing like quotations in the air, this was the weakest match, not because it was bad or anything, but because this was the clearest one. I feel like this couldn't have any other outcome than Casey winning. But you can already see that Casey, or like looking back, you can already see how they would portray him as a real threat. And at the end, he was a real threat and being the last one eliminated. But I think it was still solid. Drew, what is your opinion on this?
I would agree. First of all, I think that the match, like structure-wise and how it was worked, would be exactly the same if it was Danny Briggs instead of Brett Isom, like originally scheduled. So I think they didn't really change anything massive, like, because they have like a similar style. I think that's the reason, or one of the reasons why they changed him to Brett Isom. Which is fine.
Maybe it wouldn't have been as clear as this was. So maybe I feel like Casey Owens would have been maybe less dominant against Danny Briggs, but at the end of the day, it would still have been a very similar match, I think.
Yeah, fair. But I think it was fine. I like Brett Isom. I know a lot of people don't like him, but I think he's cool. So I was happy to see him. But I was a little bit surprised how dominant it was from Casey Owens, and that he was able to choke him out, like in this like crossface chicken wing style. But I was happy for him. It was cool to see Casey advancing. That was nice.
Would you agree with that, Val, or do you have any other stances on this match?
I think that it makes the most sense to have Casey advance, but I honestly was a little surprised. Because Brett Eisen has such a reputation, especially down in the South, of being such, he's the pit bull. He is dominant. He is not afraid to whoop some ass, And it's kind of surprising to see somebody like Casey kind of get one over on him. And especially in such a way that it's like...
That's the thing.
It's not like he got a lucky finish or something like that. Like,
no.
He took him out. And that, to me, was very surprising because of Brett's reputation in that area.
Absolutely. And speaking of people who take other people out in the ring, we had Matt O'Connelly versus Mortar after that. And in this case, I want to start with you, Val, because I'm very looking forward to what's your opinion on this. How did you like the match, and how was it like in the arena?
Mortar's a Northeast guy, so him coming down to the Southeast is, can go either way. Sometimes that translates well, sometimes it doesn't. I think Mortar's great. I was really excited because I believe he was on the Futures tournament or Futures show in non-tournament action last year. And
he had that really, really good match against Gary J, which was one of the best matches of the whole weekend, in my opinion.
So to see him, I agree with you. To see him in the tournament this year was really cool. I really enjoyed his work. I think that against a guy, especially like Mad Dog Connolly, two really hard-hitting, kind of maybe a little bit more unpredictable types. Mad Dog Connolly is like real unpredictable. When he's coming out swinging that chain, like you kind of keep your head on a swivel because you don't know if you're going to catch a stray or not. But I thought that match was super fun. I really like Mad Dog Connolly. I really like seeing him gain more and more traction over the last couple of years versus, when I first started seeing him around. I love watching different crowds react to him that maybe don't know him or haven't seen him, and just being like, this man is so, he looks on the surface somewhat unassuming, but is also terrifying when he gets in the ring.
You're not the only one who loves him, because we have someone among us who calls Matt O'Connelly one of his favorite independent wrestlers. Drew, stage is yours.
That is absolutely right. I love Matt O'Connelly. Mortar won me a little bit over when we saw him last year live in this match against Gary J, which ruled. And this match was awesome. I loved it. It was like a super hard-hitting stuff. And surprisingly, with a little bit of mix of flying, like Mortar can fly as well. the couple of springboard moves he does looked like a man of his size and his weight shouldn't be allowed to do that, but looked great. I loved that. So that was great. For me, it was the second best match of the show of the first round. This was great. I had so much fun watching that. I really liked that.
Absolutely agree. I would also say that was maybe the top 3 of the day for me as well. It's just 2 big dudes doing everything they can against each other, and also some surprising stuff. It was really hard. So, and I think both can even do more. But for a first round match, it was really cool. But my favorite match came after that, which was my match of the night, because it was James Chick versus Gary J. And I have to say that this was the one that I was looking forward to the most. And it absolutely delivered. It was a really good, hard-hitting, very good chemistry kind of match, and they were giving each other everything in not even 9 minutes. So I was very, very happy with this match. Would you agree with that, Drew?
Absolutely. I think as well this was a match of the night, maybe one of the best matches of the tournament in general. This was this was great. If that would be in Germany and they wrestle in Germany, people would chant "Auf die Fresse" constantly, which mean hit each other really hard in the face. That was great.
Sorry.
Like
people in Germany hit each other really hard in the face.
Yes.
Not only do they chant that well, but this is the first sentence that fly-ins get to learn before they get to learn like "hello, my name is" or something in German. So pretty much every fly-in from Shigehiro Irie to Manders. Manders is the one who also learned how to say "fuck you" in German. He did that at the last show. But almost every fly-in can say "auf die Fresse," which means hit each other in the face hard. And Irie even started doing this in Japan, which is always very funny when he does that at All Japan or something like this, and no one from the Japanese crowd knows what he's saying. So, sorry, Drew, continue.
No problem. And I love the beginning when they start brawling in the crowd, they hit each other, and this was like kind of a mirror match as well, because James Shook looked like a young Gary J, kind of.
Yeah,
or maybe Gary J. And I like that. So it was a cool, like, hard hitting stuff. People maybe would call it when they have no better term, would like call it a strong style match or something like that. I don't like the term, but I can see that it can be used for that. So I like that. I think this was really great, and they did a lot in these a little bit less than 9 minutes. So that was great. I really enjoyed that.
Well, what is your take on this match?
I'm a Gary J fan. I will start there. I love watching Gary J chop people. It brings me the utmost amount of joy. Like, very little makes me as happy as watching Gary J just chop somebody down. And that match, like, the whole tournament was really chop heavy, if I'm being honest. But man, Gary J's chops, just chef's kiss, just perfect. Just love it. Love to see it. Would never want one. Terrifying in all regard. Never want any man to chop me. Specifically Gary J. That looks terrifying on the next level. But that match was so good, and Jameson just was, he just took it. He took everything. And I was so, it was such a good match. It was so entertaining, and I'm glad that Jameson won. He was. I have to go back and listen to see who I predicted to win, but especially after this, I was like Shook's winning this. Just a banger match. Again, something that kind of really set the really set the stage for the next match, which was very different between Bosby and Cruel. So
you're already touch on it so you can continue. What did you think of the match, of the main event between Cruel and Tim Bosby?
A little, like, I feel like Dylan Hales must get paid by the word with the way he runs his mouth. I just can't imagine why he needs to talk so darn much. Other than if he's getting paid by the word. But a lot of yapping in this one. You kind of expect it though, with Hales being out there and Bosby doing, I don't know, Bosby things. He's a young kid, and kudos to him for trying to take on Cruel. That match had way more diving in it than I would have anticipated. At one point, because they always sit us against the wall there. At one point, Cruel was jumping out of the ring. I physically had nowhere to go, and I genuinely thought that he was just going to put me through the wall into the kitchen. But the professionalism and athleticism of Cruel prevailed, and although I saw my life flash before my eyes, he did not put me into the kitchen. He did not even touch me at all. Like, what a gentleman. That match was fun. I'm glad that Cruel won. Maybe take Bosby and Dylan Hales down a peg. They needed to learn some hard truths. So I think that set the stage for the next night pretty well too.
I feel like this is a match where also there's a difference between being in the crowd and seeing it on demand or seeing it live, about seeing it like on IWTV. Because this is also already my second review I do of SCI, because yesterday I also had one with Morbo and Florian from Voices of the Indies, so greetings to them. And they really disliked this main event. And they were like, this was way too long, way too many like interferences. And I'm somewhere between, because I feel like, it was 60 minutes. It was much longer than anything else. And I feel like this was a bit too long. I also feel like that maybe in this case, the heel versus face thing, with the heel being like David, and I don't even know if Cruel was the face, but he was definitely not the heel compared to Tim Bosby. Maybe this is a bit more difficult with a character like Cruel. And Norman Flash also said that maybe having someone like Cruel in the tournament is hard, because it's always hard to make him lose. I don't think it was bad. I think it was still decent, but it was definitely not among my favorite matches of the night. Drew, how do you see this?
Yeah, I would agree. I can see why people say I don't like it. And you have to say it's like way longer than most of the other matches.
Yeah.
Which is okay. It's the main event, but for me it was not that bad with the shenanigans, with the interference, because that's the act of Tim Bosby and Dylan Hales. I like Dylan Hales like as this a-hole manager. Just when he came out with his big backpack, and you just really want to punch him. So
especially because it's like the contrast, Because when you especially when you know him, because he's a really nice guy, but when he walks out with his backpack, he looks like, I don't know, a male Dora the Explorer, and then he's like the main heel of the whole. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Dylan the Explorer.
He's like, I don't know, if you would mix Dora the Explorer and Ned Flanders, I feel like Dylan would come out.
Didn't see that coming. You're right. So I think that's fine, and you have to if you try to be Cruel, like he's like not like any other wrestler. He's like a monster. He's like a legit monster. So like even if you're a world champion, you need to have interference and to cheat to try to beat him. So I think it's fine in this context. And then Bosby tried to do a tope, and Cruel gets out of the way, and so he hits Dylan Hales. And that was the reason, because he was on crutches the next day. And I like that. So I'm somewhere in the middle. It was not my favorite match of the card, but I don't think it was bad or something like that. It was fine for what it was, I guess.
I think so too. And I think overall, maybe it didn't make the show better at the end, but it didn't drag it down too much for me. So I still think it was a more than decent first day. But I have to say, with that, we are going to the second day, so the last show. I think that the second day was better, and one huge part of it being better was the opener. Val, how did you like Jay Newman versus Gary J, the non-tournament action that we liked, that we started the show with?
Oh, my goodness. I don't know if it translated on
It did.
the live stream. I was feeling like secondhand chest pains from watching that one. Jaden was lit up. And, like I said, I love a good Gary J chop. It joy to my heart. And that was such a hot way to open that with two people that are much, kind of beloved by the scene, just having a really hard hitting match. Jaden's chest, even hours afterwards, was red and beat up, and just a great way to get the crowd going, I think, for that tournament match.
I think Jaden has a thing for getting banged up in his SCI matches, because I still remember his match in 2023 against Shook, where he was like terrible state afterwards. So yeah, you're absolutely right. I have to say this was my favorite match of the whole weekend, and I already said this is. I think so far it's among my top 3 of the whole month from all the matches I've seen this month, this July so far. So I can not add a lot because you said everything. It was really, really hard hitting in the best way. Drew, do you agree, or do you have a different opinion?
Yeah, I have to agree with this. Absolutely, this rule too much. This was great, like a great start for the second day, and as you said, Sebastian, one of the best matches of the whole weekend. That was great. It was so good. It had actually it should be in the tournament as well, but it couldn't be because Jaden wasn't in the tournament. Gary J was eliminated the night before, but it had any right to be in this tournament. But it proved that it was be right on this show. It was great. It was great, and was maybe besides the final, for other reasons, my favorite match of the show.
Also agree. And you can continue with the first, because you said this wasn't a tournament match, but the next one was Hunter Drake versus Diego Hill. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I like that as well. Like as the first tournament match of the show, like the first second round tournament match, that was pretty cool. Like a cool start for the tournament, and add a big contrast to the match before. So I like this. Hunter Drake advances to the final, which is okay. Like for the heel face dynamic that should come later. So it's fine, but I wouldn't have a problem if Diego Hill would advance to the final. That would be pretty cool as well. But so it is.
Yeah, I think it was pretty cool to see two people having this kind of style and still having this like heel face dynamic, because it was like, and that's the thing about Hunter, he can be flippy, but you can still hate him because of what he does. And this is not that easy, because oftentimes with flippy guys, it's hard for them to get like heel reactions, but he's really good at it. And I also think it was a more than decent start. Well, would you agree with that? And how did you like the match?
This match was great. I like high flying flippy stuff, so that worked for me. I think it was a good match to start off the tournament, to kind of start off with Hunter Drake kind of winning and knowing that he's going to be in the final. Because then you can cheer for the other people in the matches that you want to beat him, which is always fun.
Yes, and in the next match we had Casey Owens versus Colby Carino, and I would like to start, and I have to say I liked Colby's match in the first one better, but I think that this was still better than Casey's first round match. So I think it was decent, but to me it would have been a bit better if it wasn't like over 30 minutes long. I feel like in 10 minutes I would have liked this more. I still think it was decent, but it felt a little bit too long for me. Was it the same in the arena, Val, or is this maybe just watching this on IWTV and not being there live thing?
No. So my attention span is admittedly pretty short, and this is definitely like, I really feel like you guys were kind of talking earlier. I'm also not the biggest Colby Carino fan. Nothing wrong with him. I think his style just isn't for me.
Yeah, same.
I think he's a longer match guy. My
Absolutely.
attention span does not allow for that. I'm a big 10 minutes is enough kind of gal. But that
Me
being
too.
said, I think the match was good for what it was. I think it told the story of, Casey defeating somebody that is a very much like kind of again beloved in that area kind of person in Colby versus Casey, who's kind of, um like they call comparison to like the stepchild or whatever, where maybe you don't get enough love. And I feel like kind of maybe Casey has that like chip on his shoulder where he's like, how come I'm not beloved down here, And I feel like it had maybe that little bit of a dynamic to it, especially what comes in the, last match of the night. But, I think it was good for what it was. For me, it was a little too long as well. I definitely, after, on my fourth show of wrestling, I kind of spaced out during that match.
Yeah, I mean, I was crazy enough to watch them all live, all these shows, and this meant that I had to stay
What time
up
was
on.
it?
I think they both started on, like, as I said, Action Future Showcase was okay. This was at 8 p.m. But the SEI show started at 1:30 a.m. So
Oof.
they were pretty much, yeah, I think when the first show finished, it was 4:25 a.m. and when the last show finished, it was 4:50 a.m. or something like this.
Whew.
And at this point, I will also talk about one match which was really good. So it didn't have anything to do with the match, but where I fell asleep for 10 minutes because it was already like 3:45 in the morning and I didn't sleep enough before that. And so, yeah. But Drew, do you agree with that being too long? And what is your view on the match in general between Casey
Yeah.
and Kobe?
Yeah, I would agree with you 100%. I have nothing really much to add. Was a bit too long, not really my taste. That match shown again why I'm not the biggest Colby Carino fan. So I was kind of happy that Casey Owen advanced, and I was happy for him. Like he's like a homegrown guy, and being in the finals is pretty cool for him.
But I think someone we are all fans of is Sidney Bacabella, and we saw him again alongside Channing Thomas against Matt Connolly. Well, what do you want to tell us about this match?
I think it was a good match. I'm glad that Connolly won. Nothing really, looking back, nothing really stands out about it though. And I don't know if it's just because the first night was, so entertaining to me. And, Mad Dog Connolly, that's the thing. Like, both wrestlers are very entertaining, and I love watching them both. The match was good. I have no notes. There was nothing that stood out about it to me.
Do you see this like this as well, Drew, or do you have a different perspective on this?
I kind of liked it. It was a cool clash. Like the beginning was great with Bacabella, which accused Mad Dog of sexual assaulting him. Not Mad Dog, Vinny Massaro, I mean, of sexual assaulting because he
put his pants down,
put his pants down and going on full riot mode about it. It was a little bit funny. And what I liked was that I can see the points that Val is saying, and I liked both of these men's matches from the night before more. But I like that like the shenanigans of Bacabella this time backfired, and he gets the credit for it. Like he tried to run away from Mad Dog, and he runs full force against the post outside of the ring and knocks himself out. And then he gets his toupee thrown away from Mad Dog, and Mad Dog is then still to win. So So like the shenanigans backfired. I like that.
I have to say, I feel like I like this more than anyone I have spoke to yet, because as you always said, Drew, it was cool to see things backfiring on Sydney Bacabella, but it was also cool to see, because I've heard people saying that with Mad Dog Connolly, it starts to get always the same, yeah. Especially if you always have the dog collar matches, and if you see them in not dog collar matches, it starts to get a little bit repetitive. I wouldn't necessarily agree, but I see how they can like get there, or how you can get this sort. But in this match, he had to show a different side, and this was a nice thing about this, that both had to show a little bit of a different side than they usually do, and I think this worked out pretty well. Because of this, I also have to say I like this definitely better than Channing's first round match. With the Mad Dog's first round match, I still like the first round match better, but I like them both overall. So, yeah. Speaking of having like different opinions on it, and I'm very like curious to hear what you think about it, because we had Jameson Shook against Cruel. Drew, what are your thoughts on this match?
I heard a lot of people that really disliked that.
Yeah,
but I'm somewhere in the middle. Like I think it was not bad in general, but I wasn't really that into it. I see the point, or I heard the point that people said, yeah, Cruel is not the best wrestler for something like a tournament like this because of like this monster-ish aura and something like that. But I've always saw Cruel like, yes, he is a monster, but he's like not the monster that you saw in this 80s WWE
yeah,
something like that they destroy everything and they need 400 people to beat him up so that he can lose. And I never saw Cruel like this, so I think he has like a standing that he can lose without that his aura is getting destroyed. So I have not really a problem with him being in the tournament and him losing, but I think you should work the match a little bit different. Like he's like that Shook is the underdog, and then get maybe a sneak pin, and then advancing to the final or something like that. I think that would work a little bit better. So I see why people don't like it, but I think it was fine for what it was for me.
I have to say that I was pretty much into it. So I also already said that I can see the point, but maybe I just wanted to believe that Jameson could win that, and especially with him having a great showing on day one. I also
It's a great moment for him beating Cruel.
Exactly, and especially looking back and seeing that Jameson won this at the end, I feel like I don't have much of a problem with it. And yeah, you're right, but I still feel like the finish wasn't a fluke victory per se, but it was also nothing that it was not like Casey who dominated in the first round against Brett Eisen or something like this. So I don't really feel like that, at least for me, it destroyed Cruel's aura. But I also have to say, and I said this yesterday again, I think if you would have had the same match with the same people, but not in the SCI universe, but for example at ICW North Bar somewhere in New Jersey, for example, this would have been more of a problem for me, because Jameson in this arena is just one of the toughest people to beat. So I also think about like this way. But and now I'm very interested to hear about this. Well, what was your like perception of all of this being in the arena live?
I'm admittedly not the biggest Cruel fan. I like the whole like I'm big, that's the thing, doesn't do much for me, and that's with really anybody. I don't think tall is a substitute for anything, personality or talent. That being said, I'm glad that Jameson Shook won. I think the match was fine. Like I said, I kind of just not the biggest fan of Cruel, but I get, especially to where it gets later in the night, where you almost had to have Jameson go through somebody big and scary to kind of show as like hero's journey or however you want to look at it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if you see it in like the bigger picture, it does make sense, but I still understand how people can criticize it. I already said that I was interested to hear your take on this, and I stay interested because we had Tank against the Vinny Massaro, and I can imagine that it was pretty fun in the arena. Am I right, Val?
That match was a hoot. I think coming off of something so serious like Jameson and Cruel to go into Tank and Vinny Massaro was a good choice. Good choice. Nice palate cleanser. Because that match was funny. There was a lady they were both trying to romance in the first row. And it was a lot of character and fun. And after like, Jameson and Cruel and, those first round matches were pretty devoid of personality. So it was good to see some of that.
Ooh, what do you say about this match?
I like that as well. I loved the entrance that Val mentioned, and Vinny sang his own song, trying to hit on the woman in the first round. She was not sure how to react. Let's say like that, and that was pretty funny. I loved that, and it's crazy. This match was pretty cool, and it's crazy to see that they are both together like maybe 100 and have like 80 years experience or 70 years experience or something like that.
57, but it's still a lot. I think
it's a lot.
I think, but with the age, you're that far off because I think Tank is from 1970, so I think he will be 55 this year, and I think Vinny is in his mid 40s. Yeah,
He's
100
like 48 or
combined,
something.
46 and 54. Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy. So this was like the old school guys or like the veteran match, and of course it was not that long, but I had a lot of fun with that. It's like kind of the term dream match gets thrown a lot, but like from a era wise and like they started like similar dates. It's kind of like a dream match, kind of. And Tank said it was a bucket list match for him, so I don't judge for that. That was cool and was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I feel like Tank just wanted to have fun at this weekend. With him being, I know he wasn't, of course, in the actual Futures Gauntlet. That was someone else. But I just felt like he had a great time, and it was also such a match where it's not that long. It's good on the position, so
like
really...
I would like to add, like the non-tournament matches all delivered, in my opinion, on the second day. They were all pretty pretty unique, pretty great in their own way.
Yes, and and because you are mentioning it, you can continue with the next non-tournament match with the 8-person tag team match: Bojack, Cody Manon, Morta, and Teriyaki against Amina Belmont, Danny Orion, Hakeem Young, and Shimbashi.
I liked that this was kind of team first round SCI versus team Action Future Showcase. This was a cool topic, and of course, Sebastian, we from WXW festivals, we know this matches because it's like the 60 Carat Sunday Lucha Rules tag team match. I love that.
It's like, and I know you would mention this now, but I want to mention this as well. It's like the combination of a day 3 WXW 16 Karat Gold like Flippy match and Shikawa match.
Absolutely. I love that. This was a cool mix of personalities, of wrestlers, great back and forth, and they had me with the Shikara grenade spot. I could only imagine how this was live, but I love that. It was great when Shimbashi came just out of nowhere, super random, and he said, "Hey, I have the grenade," and everyone worked with it. It was amazing. I loved that.
The good thing is we have someone to ask how this was live. How was this live? Well, how was the whole match?
This match was so much fun. It was, especially between those series matches before we start getting into both the action title match and the final round. It was a really between Vinny and Tank, and this match was a great palate cleanser. It was good to see some of those first round guys come back. Great to see some of those Futures kids get a little bit of a push too. It was kind of, first round versus Futures, but also, and you may not have gotten this if you didn't know, but because I was familiar with the Futures kids, I knew. Futures kids were all heels. They were all bad guys. So it was like a good guy, bad guy thing. Because how can you hate Bojack, Cody Manhorn, Teriyaki, or Mortar? You just can't. But Amina, she usually plays kind of a prissy, like, heel character. Danny Orion's a heel. Hakeem Young was somebody I was new to, but I got very much heel vibes from him. And Shimbashi can go either way, I think, depending on what match he's in. But that was so much fun, and the grenade spot killed me. I love goofy stuff in wrestling. I really do. I go to wrestling to be entertained, forget the horrors of the world around me. And that match really was entertaining and helped me forget the horrors around me. So it was, good way to get kind of transition out of some serious matches into just some fun time before we get back into being so serious again. And 1010 would recommend that match. To go back and watch it. It is just pure entertainment.
I feel terrible because this was the match where I fell asleep for 50 minutes, but not because of the match, because it was 3:50 a.m. And this was the match I had to watch on the day afterwards. And I have to say, this was my third favorite match from the show. It was really entertaining, everything that you just said, and was like my favorite non-tournament match, apart, of course, from Jay Newman versus Gary J. But I would say like my favorite like multi-person match, so to speak. Although, of course, the final is also multi-person, but I think you know what I mean. And yeah, this was really cool. And then we had Tim Bosby versus Tommy Davis. Tommy Davis getting this title shot by winning the Active Future Showcase. And I have to say, I think it was a decent match, but of course, this was one of these matches where it was clear that Tim Bosby would win, of course. And I also feel like maybe, I mean, like, Drew, I think you already said this before, that heels should just always cheat because they're heels, although they could like win by themselves. But in this case, I don't know, because he was clear favorite. I mean, and understand in kayfabe like why he has to cheat against Cool, but here maybe he wouldn't have needed to rely on Dylan so much. But I think it was still decent. What do you say about this, Drew?
Yeah, I would agree on that, but I think it's fine. Like, he's the cheating, he cheats always. Yeah. So it's okay, but I get your point 100%. I like this match. It was like style-wise pretty cool clash. Like, I saw Tommy Davis, I think, for the first time. Really, at least I paid attention in seeing him, and I really liked him. I liked him at the Future Showcase, and I think it was pretty cool that he get a title shot the next day, like in this whole SCI weekend. That was pretty cool. So I like that, and hope we see Tommy Davis a lot more. Maybe action, maybe TWE. And it was the perfect match to get a little bit more serious after the match before we get then to the main event.
I think you just didn't see the right TWE shows, because he has been at TWE multiple times since last, I think, July or something like this, like 5-6 times or something like this. But not on every show. So you're absolutely right. Well, do we have anything to add or anything you want to say about this match that we didn't say so far?
I think, to Drew's credit, it was a good way to transition from, fun and silly to more serious without just going right into that final match. I think it was a good way for maybe some more people to get some more eyes on Tommy Davis and just say, kind of in a way like, hey, this kid is going to be in the tournament next year. And, Bosby was in Futures last year, so there was that little bit of a dynamic as well. Because Bosby didn't win last year, But anything, I think it was a good way to transition. I think it was a little bit predictable. Like, you kind of knew that Tommy Davis wasn't going to win. But there was 1 or 2 points where I was like, maybe. So my disbelief was suspended in as much as it could be in that context.
That's a good thing, because the question I have for you, was your disbelief also suspended in the final? Because we had Jameson Shook versus Hunter Drake versus Casey Owens versus Matt O'Connolly. Jameson Shook, of course, the one who was able to beat not only Tim Bosby, but also Tim Bosby last year at Action Future Showcase to win it. How did you like the match?
Oh, boy. So, I thought the match was good. I will just, from where I was sitting, after Jameson kind of got attacked right away, right out the gate by Mad Dog, I kind of missed a lot of what was going on in the ring because I was genuinely concerned for his blood loss. That kid was bleeding everywhere. And I think that for me, where, like I said, where it was right in front of me, I wasn't as focused so much on the match in the ring, because when I kind of, recall both Hunter and Mad Dog getting eliminated, but not really, because most of what I was paying attention to was the fact that I was genuinely like a little bit concerned about Jameson, just with how much he was bleeding. And I was like, man, I hope that he's okay to finish the match. Like, because he was who I wanted to win. And I was like, my guy, you can't win if you're bleeding out on the outside. But I think that made for a really good dynamic between him and Casey, especially, with Casey and him, I think, kind of coming up to the same training together, and Jameson kind of getting, put on a pedestal and beloved, whereas Casey kind of got, maybe the short end, no pun intended, of the stick on that. And, it was, I didn't talk about it. I didn't mention it until, and y'all didn't see it because you didn't see the Red Bank Roulette match that he had with Manders. But after that, Manders put him over real big to say, like, you need to go on and win this. Like, you're, doing really great. Like, just put him over the top. So I think to everybody that had seen that, that was a distinct possibility of, like, is he going to dig deep and win this? Kind of, underdog. You almost think of it like there's like the beloved big brother, and then there's like the kind of, shit on little brother. And I feel like there was that dynamic there.
I absolutely agree. And even if I didn't have the opportunity so far to watch the match, but also throughout the tournament, I felt like that they told me that Casey could win it. And I have to say, these last 10 minutes where it was Casey versus Jameson were really, really good. And this is also why this is my favorite tournament match of the whole weekend, my second favorite match of the whole weekend. This last stretch between Casey and Jameson was awesome. I was at some points certain that Jameson would win it. Then I was certain that Casey would win it. And in the end, Jameson would win it. Really good final, great winner. So I have nothing bad to say about this one. What do you think about it?
I think it was great. It was, for me, it was the match of the night, the match of the tournament, just because of the emotional value that it have later. I think they worked it pretty well with like two faces, two heels, kind of. Like, you can agree if Mad Dog is really a face or a heel, he's something in between, I guess. But he had the perfect spot for it, so it was like kind of two heels, two faces, like. And it was cool back and forth at the beginning. and then with the eliminations occurred, like Mad Dog get first eliminated by Hunter Drake, then Mad Dog a little bit more than a minute after, and then we have like a full singles match. Like there was the last 10 matches were just Casey Owens and Jameson Shook, and I loved it. That was a great like finishing stretch, but it was not just a finishing stretch. It was like a singles match that they worked, and I think this was really great. It was pretty emotional, and I loved that it was this two homegrown TWE talents that fight for the win here. I really loved that, and then in the end, it was Jameson Shook who won the tournament, like with a cool story. Last year he won Action Future Showcase. This year he won the SCI. It was like the perfect time for him, like because he starts getting really, really over, has his own shows. The next is tomorrow, and it makes like a lot of sense that he's won the tournament in general. He makes himself the new number one contender for the TWE title. He challenged John Wayne Murdoch to a death match for the ICW title at his own show, and like to get to the end of the show, I loved that. That made me really emotional when he said it all started 2015 with Jimmy Wave winning the tournament. So let's end this dream with playing his music, and I love that. I'm just a huge Jimmy Wave fan. He was a friend of mine, and so that made me a little bit emotional to end the show like this.
Yeah, it was a great tribute for sure. So now that we have talked about all these shows, and I would like to start with this one with Val, because for me it's a bit hard to put this in perspective, because this was the first time since 2023 that I wasn't there in attendance, unlike the last 2 years. And I feel like that last year was a little bit better overall the whole weekend, but to be honest, it was mainly because you had the first day and you had Daniel's last match there, and you can't have Daniel's last match every year, so it's normal. But I still think it was a good weekend, and I was happy with it. What is your perspective on this? Well, what would you say after this? How did you like this weekend?
I had a good time. I love SCI. It is one of my favorite things. I love the Southeast scene. It embraced me when I don't want to say I didn't have anywhere else to go, but I kind of didn't. And it was something that became like a second home to me, to the point where I, for better or worse, moved closer to it. It's the vibes at, TWE Arena and in Chattanooga are impeccable. The people there are great. The homegrown talent is, second to none. And I think that was maybe the difference between this year and last year, is there were a lot more Southeast people in the tournament versus maybe in past years where there's been more of a mix. And to your point, you can only have Dana Makabe's last match one time. And
That's thing.
With an asterisk, last match with an asterisk.
Yeah. Maybe we will talk about this again in September, but that's a different topic.
You never know, right?
Yeah.
And continue. in the past, you've seen, like, since I've started going in 2021, this is my 5th one now. I've seen, AC Mack win, who kind of wasn't a heel or a face. He was somewhere in between.
Yeah,
and then, we had Manders winning and Jaden winning. And Jaden won 22, Manders won 23. And last year was Adam Priest. So Jaden face, Manders face. Last year, Adam Priest heel. Broke the trophy, was the whole thing. And then this year you have, just the ultimate face, like ultimate good guy in Shook winning. And, with such a contrast from last year where it's like, yeah, Adam Priest is a fantastic wrestler, kind of a dick of a person, to somebody that's, so just genuinely, I think, so beloved by fans and TWE, and it's a real feel good moment,
What do you want to say about this weekend as a whole?
Yeah, I can agree. I had a lot of fun even on my TV. I would also say, last year was a little bit better, but you can't really compare because last year we were live there in person. You said it. We have Daniel Macabra's last match and something like that. That it was a bit more special than that. But I had a lot of fun watching these shows. Like in general, I love this scene as well. It's really grow on me, and it's like my favorite independent scene in the US or maybe in the world in general. So I was really happy to watch that again. And as I said, I had a lot of fun. It was like emotional, had great wrestling action and something like that. So yeah, I can't really complain. It was a ton of fun.
I think if you don't have anything to add, this would be good closing words. And with that, I would like to say thank you to you, Val, for taking the time again.
Thank you.
Of course. Thank you guys so much for having me. Any time, any place where I can yap about wrestling is a good time for me. So.
And thank you, of course, also to you, Drew.
Of course, my pleasure.
And thank you to all of our listeners, and I hope you will listen to us in the future again. Goodbye.
I'm not finished yet. I'm not leaving till everybody gets these hands.